Welcome to episode 7 of the Out of Your League podcast. We have a very special guest, Anna Ambrose. And as you can see,
Anna.
it was a very busy week for the girls in general. Um, I was busy with baseball, Emma was busy with baseball, and Lindsay's in a different time zone right now with Anna covering the SEC championship for women's basketball.
Yeah, we've been in Greenville since Friday. I got here Thursday. They flew up or they drove up on Thursday and got here at like 3 in the morning. But yeah, we've been here covering the games. Texas won two, lost one. But it was really fun. It's been a lot of fun being up here. Greenville is great. It's a quiet, cute little city.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
16-hour drive, worth it.
Yeah. And we're driving back tomorrow.
Yeah, she canceled her flight.
Wait, you canceled your
Yeah.
flight?
Okay, so my thing was is like if I had kept my flight was at 5 and I have to check out of my hotel at 11. And so I don't have a car. So I would have to just either be sitting in the hotel lobby for like 5 hours or sitting in like a Starbucks. And like if I drove back with them, like it'd be more fun because it's road trips are
Memories.
fun. I like road trips. And then like we're leaving at like 5:30, so we're gonna be back at like 8 or 9. And I'd be landing at 11 if I flew. So I'm like, it makes more sense. And I got my money back, so
Yeah. Hey, as long as you get your money,
yeah,
that's all it really
yeah.
needs. But like road trips, I think road trips either make or break people because you find out, no, this is why. And Anna, you can either attest to this or not. But road trips, you can either find out like if you're gonna like that person at the end of the day, or if you're gonna be like, I cannot stand you, like, please leave me alone. So it's one or the other. It's because sometimes you have road trips where it's like everyone kind of does their own thing. You have like your moment of silence, and then you have people who like are constantly talking, and you're like, please,
Indeed.
please be
Yeah.
quiet, which is me. That's probably me in road trips, unless I'm like really zoned out. I'm like, yeah, no, that's exactly why I said that. That's exactly why I said that, Lindsay. I was like, I know Lindsay has not had the best experiences in road trips with.
No, they've been so fun. I just at some points I'm like, Evan, can you please shut the fuck up?
God.
Which I'll say that to him and he's like, yeah, I'm talking too much.
Which is exactly why it either makes or breaks
It
people. Like,
works. It works.
at the end of the day, it works out, but sometimes you're like eye switching, like stop it.
Yeah,
Yeah, no. Lindsay's low-key the queen of road trips. I feel
I know.
like
I take him
anytime there
around.
was like an away game, either when y'all did like football, when we went to Houston for baseball, like Lindsay's always willing to drive, and I have to give you so much respect for that.
Thank you.
Because I can't drive more than 3 hours like from here back home to Dallas without being like, oh, wanting to rip my hair out.
I have to be in the right. Will say I have to be in the right headspace for it. And I
Mhm.
think this weekend I'm in a good headspace for a road trip. Because
Oh,
I
you
can
better
just
be. It's 16 hours.
yeah, like I've done this before. I drove to South Carolina at the beginning or at the end of winter break and then
Mhm.
flew back. And so I'm just doing the other half of the drive.
Yeah.
Like, and it's like that one was with just one other person, so we each had to do 8 hours, and so we each just like tanked out like five at a time. And so it's like I can tank out 5, 6 hours at a time. Like as long as I don't have to pee, I'm good. But like, yeah,
Yeah, but this time there's three other
there's
people.
4 people, so it's like
Yeah.
it's 4 hours each, which is
Yeah.
nothing.
See, I will say what it is a little cool, especially like well, not only has is Lindsay a well-versed traveler on the road, but I think it's awesome that you guys drove the 16 hours to South Carolina to cover an amazing team. It's not just like a team who's like middle of the pack. You're talking about the Texas women's basketball team who they have over 30 wins before an SEC, well, I guess during the SEC. Well, no, they reached it before the SEC tournament, right? Or
They
what?
reached it
Third,
after the Ole Miss game.
yeah, Ole Miss was 30.
There
So
we
the
go.
first round. Yeah.
You're talking about, well, they've just been such a fantastic team to watch. So the fact that you guys get to be there up close and personal to watch that. And in Anna's case, you get to be in the emergency room getting a ball. Like that's something you'd be telling your future kids or just like people in general about like, well, while everyone was getting ready for like spring break, I did a 16-hour road trip to cover this amazing
Yeah.
Yeah.
team.
Yeah.
That tweet of Anna in the training room with a bloody nose is up to 9,000 views.
No way.
And I will say this, she did tell me to post it. I said,
Yeah.
she goes, we're walking in, we had to go find a cop to tell us where to go. And because she's like just standing in the hallway like this. And I'm like, dude, are you okay? And I was coming back from halftime and I had my cup of Dr. Pepper and my little mini plate with my biscuit on it because I was hungry. And she's like, no, like it won't stop. And so I'm like, all right, well, let's go find someone. So we go and we find like a cop and we're like, she has a nosebleed. Like, where should we go? Like,
Are we
is there
is
like a
there a
medic?
medic?
And he's like, I don't know. Like he grabbed like someone else, and the other guy was like, oh, the training room's over here. Just come over here. They'll help you.
And I was like,
And then Anna goes, oh, Lindsay, put this on your Twitter. And I was like, do you actually want me to? And she said yes.
yeah,
And
it's
then
great content.
like she's sitting on the table. I'm still standing there holding my plate with my biscuit and my Dr. Pepper. And and we were right next to the South Carolina locker room, and the whole South Carolina women's team just walks out and is staring at us.
And
Yeah.
meanwhile, like
And we're just
the
laughing.
entire like staff of this training room,
They're all like, here you
three of
go.
them
Like,
are
take
working
this.
overtime. They're like, put this up your nose. Like,
Like,
here you
sit
go. Like,
like
here's some
this.
gauze. And I
Like,
was like, oh my God.
Okay, but
God.
for everyone watching, give them the run through of what exactly happened because you told us before we started. So give everyone the context.
She just wanted to be Rory Harmon.
Yeah,
Rory Harmon got a nose.
I saw Rory Harmon get elbowed in the face. She got a nosebleed, and I was like, well, I gotta one up this. Like I can't let her have her moment. No, I was sitting on the sidelines at our little table, and all of a sudden my nose just starts gushing blood, and I was like, oh.
She like looks at me. She's like, my nose is bleeding, and she's just like sitting there like this, and I'm like, are you okay? She's
But
like,
because it wasn't a lot at first, but then it just was
she's
like,
like, I gotta go. And I was like, oh,
so
okay.
I just like get nosebleeds recently, and it's like dry here. So
It's so dry.
I'm like holding my face like this, like running all the way across the court, not across the court, but like alongside behind the media tables, and it's like dripping down my chin. I'm just like, and I get to the bathroom. And I'm like trying to make it stop. It won't stop. So then I come out with like a bunch of toilet paper and I see Lindsey. I'm like, hey, like it won't stop bleeding. It won't stop bleeding.
And then, like, to top it all off, when we're trying to go back to our seats, they tried to tell me that I had the wrong credential and that I wasn't allowed to go back to my seat. And she was like, no, you're zone 4. Like, you have to go over to the courtside area for the photographers. And I was like, I'm not a photographer. Like, I've been sitting over here all weekend. And she was like, well, you can't. And I was like, and like the little seating chart with like the arrangements was on it. And I was like, there's Longhorns on SI. Here is my pass. This is me.
Yeah.
We did not bring a photographer. I am the only one here. Like, let me go back to my seat. And she's like, like, you can go get your stuff and you can like sit over there. I was like, well, how am I supposed to do my work? Like, I'm not a photographer. She's like, I don't know. And I was like, okay, well, I'm gonna go sit in my seat because I've been there all weekend. And she was like, I mean, I'll let it slide this time, but they're being really strict about it. Like, someone might come kick you out. And I was like, well, I'm just gonna go sit in my seat.
Like,
it hasn't been an issue. And it like I was so stupid. Like I get she was just doing her job, but like it was so dumb.
Yeah, and I was standing there with one of those nose plugs. Like
she's got a nose plug and like a handful of gauze, and I still have my cup of Dr. Pepper and my plate with my biscuit.
I am baffled by this.
I was like trying to reason with her, and like I'm like, she's not gonna take me seriously because I have this sticking out of my nose. I was like holding, I was like, she's like been here all weekend, like, like it's fine.
Yeah, lady, let us by.
Yeah. Like before the game, I didn't have an issue. Why is it an issue at halftime?
Women on women hate is crazy.
Crazy. Day after
right after International Women's Day, crazy work. My crazy work. Yeah. But I mean, obviously they didn't get the result that they wanted. But I mean, it was kind of a toss up. You're talking about a home game. You're in South Carolina.
It was a legit the South Carolina people were trying to say like, oh, like we love it in Greenville. Our fans will travel anywhere. Like Dawn Staley said something like, I mean, anybody could have bought the tickets. It's like, okay, yeah, you're right, but also it's like there's a lot of we're in the state of South Carolina.
Yeah, it's like a 2-hour drive max.
It's like a 2-hour drive from Columbia, 3 hours from Charleston or whatever. Like it's not really a fair fight.
Yeah.
But like it's whatever. Like Vic was like, I like Greenville, like it's great. It's just like it'd be nice if we could rotate it. Which I think would be good.
Yeah.
He's like he was like, this is like us playing in San Antonio. Like it'd be if we were playing in San Antonio, it'd be the same situation, just flipped.
That's like that exact scenario is like when Texas played in the Cotton Bowl against Arizona State. Like that's it's like you're talking about a really quick drive. So
Yeah,
like
yeah.
I
Like we were
get
comparing it to like last season when Texas played in the Big 12 championship for
mhm.
football. Like that was um like it was Oklahoma State, so it like wasn't that big of a deal. But like if it had been like West Virginia or Iowa State or like I don't know, BYU that year,
Yeah.
it would have made it a bigger deal than it
Mm.
was.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. But regardless, I don't think this hurts them necessarily. Just that one loss against you're talking about a South Carolina team. I mean, they're very well coached. They're a really well-rounded team. It should be interesting once they get a little bit of rust and then full swing March Madness comes along. I don't think this necessarily it stings 100%, but for your first year to win SEC Player of the Year, SEC Coach of the Year, and make the SEC Tournament Finals,
And they
that's
won
a
the
pretty
regular
good
season.
resume.
Like they
Yeah.
regular season. I think this team is a lock for a one. I think South Carolina has also made their case for a one seed. Um, and now it's just who are the other two, but I definitely think these two teams
Mm.
have have the resumes to be one seeds. They've beaten each other.
Mhm.
Like Texas has three losses, two of them are to South Carolina.
Mm.
Yeah.
So, like I think they've both made their case for a one seed.
No, yeah. It could be worse. You could be Rodney Terry with pretty much no case to make a tournament. Or a very small one, if that. So look on the bright side.
But now, Emma, as you were saying, what is I guess not even expectation, but how do they get into March Madness? They obviously have the SEC tournament next week. Well, I guess this upcoming week, but like,
Yeah, this week.
is there even a case that needs to be made?
They have to win it all.
Yeah,
Like I think they have to win it all. It's like I
Mhm.
think they have to win it all and get the out of it. It's the only way it's gonna work.
yeah, yeah. And going in, I believe they're playing Vanderbilt.
Yeah.
Um, which I believe Texas got the 13 seed, Vandy got the 12 seed, if I remember correctly. And so I just like this team has just been all over the place this season, and I definitely know last night's game against Oklahoma was kind of one of the weirder ones, especially with Trey Johnson, what going 0 for 14
I
in
think so.
shooting and field goals. Um so I just like I don't really know where things are at right now. All I know is that Roddy Terry is absolutely in the hot seat. And that's been a conversation for quite a couple weeks now. But no, like Deb was saying, I think they just gotta go out, win it all. Because that's really all they can do to even just kind of muster any sort of case to making a postseason run. But no, yeah, definitely strange times for men's basketball. We'll see what happens. We'll see if Terry keeps his job, I guess. But it was funny because today, after baseball during the post game presser, y'all know AP, y'all know Ann Parker. She was like, I'm gonna ask a silly question, blah blah blah, and she had asked Coach Schlossnagle, and she was like, "How does it feel to be one of the most more reliable teams for Texas?" She was like counting the women's basketball loss, the men's basketball loss, that kind of stuff.
It was phrased a little weird too,
It
and
was.
she admitted it later that she was like, I did not phrase that correctly because the way Schloss responded, and I'll let Emma take it away how he responded.
No, yeah, he was really confused because he was like, "What do you mean?" He was like, wasn't women's basketball like ranked number one in the nation like before even before this loss to South Carolina? And he was like, men's basketball. He tried to make a case for RT and tried to be like, they don't count them out yet, all that kind of stuff. And then he talked about softball, and
Swim
like
and
even
dive
men's,
too.
yeah, he even talked about swim and dive, and he was like, I don't think we're the most reliable. He was like, I don't think that really matters. And so I just thought that was a really interesting question. And like Deb was saying, AP did kind of retract, and she was like, I could have phrased that better. But no, I think just because after today's baseball game, they swept another home series against Santa Clara, and so they're currently 13-1 on the season, which is actually their best record, best start to a season they've had since 2005. So literally 20 years. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, 2005 was also they won a national championship. So the people are gonna make that connection and be like, okay, well, if we're starting off so good, like Natty on the way, which I'm not gonna dispel that narrative, even though I do think it's definitely too early to be saying we're gonna be winning the Natty. But I definitely will say that this team looks just so astronomically better than it did last season. And I was talking to Nick, who's the baseball beat reporter for the Texan. I was talking to him about it today, and he was like, "Well, you must enjoy covering them like this spring compared to last year." And I was like, yeah, I gotta admit, like it's been more fun. The guys definitely have a different energy about them. And especially with the pitching staff. I know the pitching staff is quite literally like 95% new people, like transfers, freshmen. But I'm feeling really good in the pitching staff, especially after seeing freshman Dylan Volantis make his first start today. I believe he threw 3 strikeouts. And I think it was something crazy out of like 60 something total pitches that he threw, over half of them were strikes. And so it was really good just to see kind of like even the young guys, they're doing super well on the mound. And so I gotta say, I'm feeling really good about baseball. Still feeling really good about women's basketball. I absolutely believe they're gonna make a deep run in March Madness. I have no doubt about it. But like I said, men's basketball, we know it's been a little disappointing, but no, I feel like everything else has been pretty good, you
I
know?
think what's really sad about the whole men's basketball thing is that March Madness is usually typically one of the most watched sporting events just because of how crazy it is when you have 16 seed. Like 2 years ago, you had, what was it, St. Peter's upset number one Purdue. Like, I believe it was Purdue. But you have like
Yeah.
crazy things like that happen. And it's a damn shame that we may not get to see Trey Johnson in March Madness as a whole. And like, yes, you can throw a little bit of more money to him, be like, stay another year, but like
Why would he
that man's
want
a
to
one
at
and
this
done.
point?
No, he is a one and done.
Because he's still like, even when you
He'd
watch him right
transfer
now,
if
he
he
looks
wants to
like
do it another year.
he'd go to Duke and play. If he's gonna stay another year, he's gonna convince Cooper Flag to stay another year at Duke, and they're gonna go light things up there. Like,
Yep.
why would he stay at Texas? Like, he seems like he doesn't want to be here already. Why would he stay another year?
And
But
like, don't get me wrong, that would be a tough conversation to have, considering part of the reason as to why he came to Texas was because his dad played with RT, and that's a connection that you have where it's no other coach in the entire nation or in the coaching staff is gonna have that special access where like that connection. So it's like if worse comes to worse and Trey does decide to play another year of college basketball, it's okay, well, where do I go to go? And like Cooper Flag, that's another great point that Lindsey was bringing up. It's there's already like on the very last like Duke home game, like there was already like chance of him saying like student section or just everyone in general, like one more year. And like there's a clip where he like
he's
like
like, run it back, run it
yeah,
back, run
he's
it back.
literally like, let's run it back. So if that is the case, there is potential for Trey to possibly transfer and go somewhere else because there's no way he is in a Texas jersey pass once the season ends.
Yeah, no. There's no
No
shot.
way.
But to Emma's point on baseball was, yeah, best start in 20 years in 2005, where it was the last national championship they've had. Vibes are high over at Dish Falk, very high. Pitching staff looks fantastic. The vibes just between the guys in the locker room and that culture over there is insane. And my favorite thing is, um, they have the motto over there where it's play to a standard, not to a scoreboard.
Mm-hmm.
And that I think that speaks so much about just this team because Lindsey, Emma, you guys remember this so much, but last year, like, it got really ugly.
It was so bad. It
It
was
was,
you losing to UTRGV when Jared Thomas decided he wanted to start as pitcher. Like, what
don't
on
remind
earth
me.
was that? That was a rough Tuesday.
It was
And then the next week you lose to A&M Corpus Christi.
Yeah,
Yeah. So
it
regardless,
got rough.
I really like that entire motto of play to a standard, not to a scoreboard, because you're talking about it doesn't matter what the scoreboard says, but if you're playing to a standard, you're gonna be expect your best every single time. And I think that's exactly what this Texas team has been doing, and they've been improving every game. And
Mm-hmm.
compared to last year, it was I feel like when they played weaker teams or like teams that weren't that good, they stooped to their level.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I don't want to say like men's basketball does it, but there's at times where men's basketball just gets a little sloppy, but it's against good teams. So that's why I'm like, I don't necessarily want to compare it to that, but there are times, well, I guess you can make an argument
Losing
for
to
the
South
South
Carolina,
Carolina
who
game.
was had not, yeah,
Yeah.
that was rough.
Yeah, you can
Like,
make the case for that one, but it's moments like that where I'm like, the clubhouse vibes are high, should be exciting. They start SEC play this week. So does Texas softball as well. So vibes on the 40 are high, especially on our two outdoor sports. Well, not only two, but like
the
two, you know
yeah,
what I mean?
current ones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The two
Yeah.
current ones.
No, for real.
Diamond
Uh,
Sports.
no, like you were saying, vibes are high. I'm super excited to see the boys go up against Mississippi State in Starkville.
Not an
With
easy game.
not an easy game, and I hear they've got a really, really cool ballpark. Um,
Aside from the ballpark, they have cowbells, which I don't know if Vic Schaefer
I
has
hate the
touched on this at
cowbells.
all. Has
I
he
hate
touched on it?
Because who?
Vic Schaefer on the cowbells.
ooh, because he's from
No, but I can
Mississippi
ask him about it at
State.
the next availability we have.
Well, I mean, well, like the thing is, it's like
They
Mississippi
have it.
State, like they're known like for having cowbells, which
Like
I
regular
want to
football
know.
game.
I want to know the background, like what it is about the cowbells. But that baseball facility is one of the best. But at the games, they have like the big cowbells, and they're ringing it the entire game. That is a nightmare.
Like,
Yeah, that's a headache waiting to
didn't
happen.
the SEC like outlaw like external noisemakers, but grandfathered in Mississippi State's cowbells? Like, I'm pretty sure I saw
I
something
believe
like
so.
that.
Oh my God.
But you're like, if I were to rank top SEC baseball stadiums, you would have Mississippi State, Arkansas, and the Box in LSU. Those three facilities are tough to play in. That you put Mississippi State facility is already amazing, but you throw in cowbells? No.
I don't think you could play anywhere with cowbells.
Yeah.
Like that, like you
They're
could be at Whitaker playing, and then someone's gonna have cowbells going, and it's like, oh my God, I want to die.
Cowbells are, in my opinion, this is the best way I can describe it. And you guys all went to school in Texas, so you guys may know exactly what I'm talking about this. Do you guys remember in high school when it was homecoming and you had the
Mom
mums
bells.
when the
I knew
with
as
the
soon as you said
jingles?
something.
This
Oh my
is the
God.
equivalent. If you're talking about, because in high school when you're wearing your moms and you just like the thing is the bigger the mom, the better. That's always been the thing. But if you're
Like,
talking
you know,
like
you can hear the girls coming.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
you can
A
hear
cat
them,
wearing a bell on their collar.
imagine, but you're talking about that like a little bit of noise. Multiply that times 10 and it's a cowbell in a big outdoor space. No, no, thank you.
Times 10,000 cowbells.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Yeah,
So
no, thank you.
so Deb, are we making the road trip to Starkville?
Girl, I will be in Florida, but you know what? You best believe at every dinner reservation, I will
Oh
be
yeah.
watching.
That is spring break.
Oh
I
yeah.
will be watching because I am too involved in this team and I really want to see them succeed. That I feel like if they lose or something goes wrong,
It's
it
gonna
will
stress
affect
me
my
out.
mood.
It's gonna stress me out.
It
Unfortunately.
is gonna stress me out. It always stresses me out when something like when just stuff happens or like when bases are loaded and just something crazy happens. I'm in the dugout. I'm like this.
That was me today of those two bases loaded
Yeah.
situations when Farmer and Mendoza both hit a single for the RBIs. I was like, oh my God. They
Yep.
clutched up. They clutched up.
They did clutch up. Now, last topic of the day. Not a bright one, but because it happened not even 24 hours. It was earlier today.
No, we woke up yesterday and it happened.
Yeah.
We woke up to the news yesterday. It was Saturday morning.
I don't remember because I just remember hearing about it. Yes, 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 that is right. It was
Saturday
yesterday.
morning.
It was
Hmm.
yesterday. So, former Texas Longhorn Xavier Worthy was arrested, but the charges were dropped within probably 24 hours.
It was yesterday that the charges got dropped too. It was like 12
It
hours.
was
It was
really
quick.
quick.
Yeah.
No, the lawyers were working overtime.
On a
But my,
Saturday too.
Mhm. But like, there's not really much you can say because the full story isn't out,
Yeah.
if you
It's
know what I
like bits
mean.
and pieces, but it's like no one really knows what's
Mhm.
true.
Right now it's
Yeah.
all hearsay, like he said, she said, this is what we
Yeah.
think happened, this is what we've been told happened, which is like,
Yeah, you can't do much with
yeah.
that.
If
Yeah.
and I think that's also a scary game because you're talking about domestic violence essentially. That's essentially what you're talking about.
Yeah.
So that in itself is already a very touchy subject.
And
And
you want to be right.
Mhm. No, exactly. Like you don't want to say, "Oh, well, I heard this," because that's some serious allegations and it's not something that like people take lightly to.
Hmm.
So it's one of those things where it's like, okay, well, let me kind of get this full story. But again, like you guys were saying, it's a lot of he said, she said, oh, I think this happened, or oh, I think this happened. I think what obviously like his lawyers put out the statement. Since then, all the charges have been dropped. And I thought the wording on a little bit of the things were interesting, but I feel like unless Xavier Worthy puts out like I know until both parties essentially put out a release and I get the full story, then I can kind of make my own opinion. Because it's like I don't want to mark him off because I was like, oh, that happened, or it's
Hmm.
because like at the end of the day, like I don't know if he's lying, I don't know if she's lying, and like let me be Switzerland and just kind of stay in the middle till I get the full story.
Hmm. Yeah. I just remember I woke up to that news. I think I like woke up and I just obviously started scrolling Twitter or whatnot and seeing that on my feed, I swear I just had a moment where I was like, oh my God.
Mhm.
I was
Yeah.
like, this can't be real, dude. I was like, someone made this up. And then I was like, nope. Saw the mugshot and I was like, ooh.
Mhm.
Well, because
Oh,
I
that's
just
great.
saw like the text in like the SI group chat was like Xavier Worthy arrested. And I
Yes,
was like,
that's what it
whoa,
was.
hang on. And
Yeah.
I saw like, and then I like opened it and it was like, that's not helpful. And so I like opened Twitter and it was like Xavier Worthy arrested, domestic violence. And it's like, whoa, okay.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah.
I think the
That
way
No.
means
I found
something
out about it
to wake
was
up to.
a tweet surfaced and it was like, oh, y'all aren't ready for this Xavier Worthy story this arrest that's about to happen. And it was like, what? And then after that, I was like, because that is such a
That's
vague tweet to say when you don't
Yeah.
know the full details. So one, I don't know what the journalism was behind that really. Not trying to call out who the guy who tweeted that out or anything, but like that was just so vague. And like everyone in the comments was like, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? And then obviously like after the it got all released and everything that happened. But I was like, that I just it just kind of had me like, what is it, the emoji where you're just kind of like scratching your head. That's exactly how I felt reading that.
Yeah.
And at first I was like, okay, well maybe this is a joke because like
yeah.
it didn't feel like a reliable source or anything. So obviously I'm not going to believe everything on Twitter. Just like a bunch of people don't believe everything they see on Facebook. I'm not going to do that. So I was like, let me wait. And then sure enough, I did think it was fake to begin with.
Hmm.
Then again, I don't have the full story.
Loki was just really funny to keep
Mhm.
seeing like the statements from the lawyers get posted on Twitter. I didn't read through all of them, but it was just like Lindsay was saying, they were putting in work on
Mhm.
that Saturday.
They earned their paycheck that week. They
Yeah,
earned
they did. But
And they're
no.
getting a big one.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
a hefty paycheck for sure. He said that's literally what it is. But
Right.
I guess that'll do it for I guess that will do it for this week's episode. I can't talk. It's been a long day, long weekend for all three of us essentially.
Yeah.
Lindsay and Anna have a long
Yeah.
road trip ahead of them. Who's driving first?
Zach.
Zach.
Zach wants to leave the earliest, so he's taking the first.
Yeah.
That's valid.
So,
So
but like,
We want to leave at 5:30, so we'll probably leave at 7, knowing him. Sorry, Zach.
5:30 in the morning.
Yeah.
are you guys gonna stop on every Buc-ee's on the way back? Do we have
there's really only
road
one.
trip
There's
math?
really
One in Alabama.
there's only one, and it's in Leeds, Alabama.
Yeah, that's
We've
when we stopped
decided
at.
that that's going to be our stop for breakfast.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, because when they were driving up, I texted them and I was like, "Hey, at about midnight, y'all are gonna hit Buc-ee's in Alabama, and it's gonna be the greatest thing in the world." And they were like, "Bet, thank you." And then at about midnight, I got the picture of them at Buc-ee's.
And it was the greatest thing in the world. It saved me.
Like I was like, it's gonna be your saving grace. Just enjoy it.
Regardless, very fun weekend for you guys. Very busy
Yeah.
weekend for me and Emma. That'll do it for this week's episode. We'll see you guys next week. TBD on same time because we're all really busy. But we'll try.
Spring
Great.
break. Spring break.
But we'll try.
Yeah.
We'll see.
So we shall see. But
Mhm.
that's it for this week's episode. Bye guys.
Bye.